Hey folks, I want to give you a quick update on what's going on in the world of Freddie and of Mercury. Freddie is a framework, or rather a set of tools, for building a program that remaps your keyboard. That's a bit of an understatement. It's actually a set of tools that allow you to ingest an arbitrary stream of events and emit an arbitrary stream of effects. Hopefully, with really good developer experience, especially as the complexity of the program scales. Now, those events, they could be something like, hey, a key was typed, or an app was foregrounded, or a certain tab was foregrounded in Chrome. It could be arbitrary. And likewise, the set of effects could be anything you want. It could be emit this key, it could be foreground this app, it could be resize this window. Um, and as you'll see, there's a whole bunch of other effects that we end up doing. Okay, so it kind of sounds like I'm trying to replace Carabiner. And yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I love Carabiner, but in the end it's configuration driven, so there's a lot of more complex things that I would like to do with it that it doesn't allow you to do. And besides, if you're dealing with like a really large, maybe multiple tens of thousands of lines long Carabiner configuration file, well, you know that that's kind of difficult to deal with. Even the other closure related ways of generating this I didn't find very type safe and very good. So on the other hand, you can write your own program that does this. Okay, so what's the relationship of Freddie and Mercury? Mercury is a sample program that will ship with the repository. It doesn't really do all the things you might want it to do. For example, from the navigation layer, I can navigate to Z, and then I can navigate to GhostTTY. Okay, but if you don't have those apps, well, that's not going to be very useful for you. So one of the ways I expect you to use this is to fork the repository, modify the program, and then run cargo build. And now you have your own bespoke keyboard remapping, etc., tool. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the cool features that have recently shipped. Well, for one thing, we have this menu bar here that provides me with some psychological safety. If I ship a broken build, which is very easy, we're swallowing all the keys. So for example, if we're in the navigation layer and I type www, well, nothing is being typed on the left side. Ah, my keyboard isn't working. Well, good, I can still always go here and quit. That's kind of helpful. Now this also shows what layer is currently visible. So it showed nav, now we went back to home, it shows home. Okay, that's kind of cool. Well, if we're on the typing layer, I want to show you something cool. Uh, if I type a bunch of letters, well, I have a bunch of letters. Cool, that's nice. Um, but if I type JK, well, it takes me to the home layer. That's because we have support for essentially sequences of keys. And one of the things that's nice about this is that I'm writing a program, so I can actually implement this however I want. In particular, if I type J after I mean typing mode. If I type J and I'm in typing mode, well then after 200 milliseconds, it'll emit the J character. Or if I type JA, well it'll immediately emit JA without waiting for the timer. And in a configuration-driven world, like, maybe that doesn't exactly match your needs. Well, I'm writing a program. I can do whatever I want. I have the underlying structures and the underlying tools to make that match exactly my needs. And I kind of like this. Okay. Now, another thing you might notice is that, well, like I said earlier, we're receiving key events. We're also receiving a bunch of other events. So, for example, if I nav to Z or I nav to Chrome or something like that, well, we're going to receive an event that indicates that that type of thing was foregrounded. So here we're in GhostTTY and we see that we have the GhostTTY app is foregrounded. And what's kind of cool about that is that that means two things. One is I can bind different things to different apps, but also what state is used to control which keys are bound is completely arbitrary. So for example, I can emit some state using, let's say, a Chrome extension to indicate that the URL that's currently foregrounded is google.com. Okay, so now I can have custom key bindings for Gmail. Or I can have custom key bindings for whatever websites you specifically want. And I can have different key bindings based upon which keyboard is emitting the events or which monitors are connected, whatever you want. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you, well, actually two things I want to show you. One is that from the home layer, I can type O to show an overlay. Gives me a nice helpful hint. From the nav layer, I have a different set of hints that tell me exactly what I can do. Um, so that's in effect just completely arbitrary code. Okay, just a different crate that happens to know how to show these things. Timers and automatically closing these also integrated into the framework in a way that I think is quite elegant. Okay, so let's nav to Z, and I'm going to show you some of the developer experience of doing this. So here on the app layer, in particular, this is sort of the in-app layer here. Well, you'll see that we have a few key bindings. And it's kind of a nice syntax for this, It's pretty obvious what this is. If we hit escape, we go to home. If I hit O, well, then we're going to toggle the overlay. N also goes to the nav layer, and down T goes to typing from here. Now, these functions, in particular, we have sort of hide overlay that I'm going to show you here. These are just functions. They can do whatever we want. If I want to add a debug print line, what have you, if I wanted to create a file, I can. It's just completely arbitrary. And also, they get some really cool parameters. For one thing, we get this event. So I can get things off of this event for a key. I can indicate that I can read what flags are modified on it and so on, or held down. The timer fired doesn't have any useful information, so we don't actually use it. And we also receive this node, which is essentially a path from the state, the leaf, to the parent, to the root. So I can do, in this case, well, this is already the root because we're sort of on the root. But if I was on, let's say, the Chrome app, I could go to the parent, which is the enum of foregrounded apps. Then I would go to the parent, which is something else. Then I would go to the parent, and so on and so forth. And I would eventually still reach this same Mercury root here. So that's kind of cool. It gives you a lot of type safety about what data you can access, while also, I think, providing a pretty good developer experience. Okay, there's a lot more that needs to happen before I sort of do a big release of Mercury and of Freddie. For example, it needs to run as a daemon. It needs to run when you start the program, start the computer, and a few other things. Like I need to build out that Chrome extension. But by and large, it works. It's really exciting. It's my daily driver. I still run it on top of Carabiner because I want to ship Mercury before I fork it for myself and ship all the weird bespoke things that I want to do. So, for example, if I'm in typing mode and I type the numbers, I actually type characters. That's kind of cool. I like that. I don't think that everybody in the world necessarily wants that, so it's not going to be part of Mercury. It's going to be part of the app that I specifically build for myself. But it's already my daily driver for a lot of cool stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you give it a try.